Welcome back to Stream Catchers, folks. It's your boy AB.
I thought Captain America was on the moon. What's up, everybody? I'm Jack. How you doing?
Oh man, welcome back, guys. Episode 6 of the pod and Falcon Winter Soldier, the season finale. Jack, what did you think of the show, or at least the episode?
I was very, very entertained. We got a lot of good fights, and I think it's everything that I wanted, to be honest with you. I said early on, and I keep saying that I wish that we could see Bucky with the shield, but I mean, this was just a fantastic finale all around. I thought everybody had, some good endings to their stories, and I can't wait to talk about them.
Same, yeah. I mean, I thought the episode was really, really well done. I thought that just from an action standpoint, character moments, like you said, everyone's story seemingly got wrapped up a bit. Really did a great job at solidifying Sam as Captain America. It gave him some
Yeah.
chance to really show the leadership role he's taken on, and that mantle by itself too. Just I thought it was really well done, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about it too. So
He earned it. He earned his title for sure.
he did, yeah, and I guess to just sort of dive right into it, the episode picks up right where episode 5 leaves off, right at that GRC meeting or whatever it was.
Hmm.
And Bucky shows up, Sharon shows up, and then we get those faraway shots of Falcon flying overhead, and they're sort of teasing it a bit, and then throws the shield right into the window, flies in, gets his like moment, and
He gets his huge heroic moment. Yeah.
yeah, there was a variant of Steve Rogers' Cap's theme playing as he sort of comes in, so it's like his own Captain America
Oh,
sound.
nice. I didn't pick up on that. Nice
Okay.
spot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I thought that was great. The suit. What do you think of the suit? I thought the suit looks great. What do you think?
It was really cool. It's always super impressive to see something that's so comic book accurate and not come across as cheesy on screen. I think that I have mixed feelings about it. I don't think it's totally cheesy. I think around his ears and his head is a little weird. But as far as like color scheme, it's perfect. It looks like the same like material that Steve Rogers' suit was made of.
Yeah.
As far as like the not the what I'm gonna assume is vibranium, not the metal aspect, but the material on his chest and legs and stuff. I think that it looks a lot like Steve's suit. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool. But yeah, something about I don't know, just the way that it shapes around his head and has his ear out is a little strange to me. It's nitpicky. I love the suit, don't get me wrong. But if I had to say something that throws me off, it would be that. That was a little weird.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't really pick up on that. Yeah, it is a little weird to have this like mask thing that's not really protecting the top of his head. Having it,
Yeah.
but is a little weird. But I don't know. I again, like to echo what you said, a very comic accurate suit that just looks great, right? Doesn't look cheesy at all, and just blends well with the whole presentation that they're going for. I thought it was great.
And honestly, if I'm being hypercritical of costumes, I always think that Steve Rogers Captain America looked better with his helmet off.
I agree. I think that was one of my nitpicks with the first Avengers movie. They went for
Hmm.
the comic accurate Steve Rogers Captain America, minus the sequins, but
Right.
it was a little goofy, I thought.
Yeah.
But that's all right. But yeah,
Hmm.
they dove right into it, and you get him and Batroc right off the bat, which I didn't think we would right off the
Hmm.
bat. But I mean, let's talk about that fight for a second. Really
Yeah.
good showcase for Sam with the shield.
A lot of cool shield moments. They did a really good job of all of his throwing it into the air and then catching it. That was super cool. I don't think that I had a lot of notes about a lot of cool stuff that Sam did, but I don't think they take place during this fight. So I'm trying not to
That's
say
all right.
them. But yeah, he does a cool thing. Steps on the shield, hits him, as a like shield uppercut, nails
Oh
him in
yeah,
the jaw. It was very cool. And George St. Pierre. I mean, he's a fantastic fighter.
yeah.
So watching him do his He's like really big into kickboxing. I think all of his kicks were really good.
Yeah, his MMA background, obviously. I mean, I'm not a big MMA fan or aficionado by any means, but obviously he's one of those names, at least from way back in the day, that people would always look to. But yeah,
Yeah.
he fits right in as in terms, at least in terms of like fighting, and he
Hmm.
played the part well too. So yeah, shout out to GSP and his portrayal for Batroc. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Every
I thought
time he gets to have a fight on scene or on screen, it's gonna be it's gonna be action packed and look really good.
of course, yeah, and again, it's sort of to echo what I said a bit ago. It was a good sort of um, way to showcase how Sam has grown as a fighter. In the past, he can hold his own, but it was always just secondary, almost maybe even I don't want to say C tier hero, but not a god, not a super soldier, nothing like that, right? Didn't have an iron suit. Whereas now this is showing him going toe to toe with someone that went toe to toe with Steve Rogers back in Cap Winter Soldier. So again, just another really good example of how Sam has grown as a hero and I guess as a fighter, just to put it simply.
Right. We get to see, the fruits of his labor, the result of all his training in the last episode.
That training montage did not go to waste.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But while that was going on, we see a little bit of Bucky and Sharon, who we will get to in a second. Um,
Hmm.
there was a thing I caught. I don't know if you caught it. That green little ball that emitted smoke.
What
Did
about
you
it?
did you get Green Goblin vibes on that thing? Because I did.
No, I didn't. I didn't even think about it.
That was the first thing I thought about was like, that's very Green Goblin right there. Not
Yeah,
that
kind of.
I don't know that we're ever going to get him in the MCU maybe, but I don't know if that was just like a nod or just this is me being a nerd about those things. But I thought that was
Well,
pretty
I think it depends on how much they want to dive into Spider-Man lore in the future of the MCU. I mean, I know that we're already, at the time of this recording, it's 2021. We've got two Spider-Man movies in the MCU, and we've got one on the horizon. And I know that Marvel has been. They typically do three movies for a character.
cool.
I hope that they break. I mean, obviously they're going to break that because they've already announced Captain America 4. Even though it's a different character, it is still a fourth one.
Yeah.
And we've got four Avengers movies, so Tom Holland loves being Spider-Man, so we might see all kinds of different Spider-Man villains in the future.
It just came out actually, I think a week-ish ago, at least like I said of this recording. Marvel and Sony came to a deal where they can put the Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus after their run on Netflix, because Netflix came to a deal with Sony as well, where Spider-Man movies will pop up on Netflix a few months after they come out in theaters, and then the older ones, going all the way back to Tobey Maguire, those will be on Netflix, to my understanding. But those will also end up being on Disney Plus.
Right on. Very
So
cool.
yeah. So that might be something that we see where Sony is a little bit more lenient in allowing Marvel to use some of those Spider-Man characters as they own them. We've seen them share Spider-Man, but obviously with a lot of rumors of, well, not rumors. I mean, Edward Molina has confirmed to be Doc Ock in the new Spider-Man
Right.
movie. Jamie Foxx will be Electro in the new Spider-Man movie.
Wild.
Could be seeing some multiverse action there, but that was just like this little thing that I saw that maybe because they had the little claw thing that attached to the back of the truck that had 8 arms.
Yeah.
That gave me some Doc Ock vibes. So
Huh. Wow, you picked up on a lot of Spider-Man villain vibes that I didn't even see.
I'm a Spider-Man nerd. I don't know. So anytime I
Oh
get
man,
with a thing for Spider-Man, it's like, yeah, I want it. I want all of it.
very cool.
Yeah, we'll see though. We'll see.
Well, back to the action. We get the return of the I don't know what you call it, the shape-shifting mask thing that Sharon was wearing.
Yeah, I wrote that
We
down.
see that in Captain America and the Winter Soldier with I believe it's Black Widow who uses that to kind of infiltrate the government. I can't remember. My memory's a little foggy on that. Oh yeah, it was Shield. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool touch because you see that person and it's like, uh-oh, what's happening? And oh, it's yeah, that was a cool little moment for sure. Bucky, man, I wanted to talk a little bit about Bucky. Um, I don't know. He's been redeemed, right? He's had his moments um, throughout this show and then in movies.
Hmm.
But I really like that spot where he's saving the folks in the truck, where Morgenthau says we need a distraction, give him somebody to save, and he didn't even hesitate. And not that I
Right.
think he would have. I just think it was another cool moment to show his growth and really solidify him. This guy is a hero. He is not just like a guy that has powers that is Steve's friend. He is a true hero now, and you even get that moment where he's falling and he gets the heroic landing.
Hmm.
He's in it now.
Well, I think even it's a little role reversal, right? Because I believe, if my memory serves, he used that same, give him somebody to save tactic to get away from Steve
Yeah.
in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now he's on the other side of that.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. He would have done the right thing at this point, but it was just like a cool moment for me, at least, to say his character has really come around. And you know the show really focused on Sam's growth, but there was a lot of growth for him as well. We'll get to that in a minute, but I just like that scene a lot.
I hope that, and I haven't been too into the news about um, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I believe they are planning season two, or they're at least talking about season two.
I
And
think
if go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the intention was one season. They said that they would
Hmm.
be open to doing two, depending on reaction, reception, what have you.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Given that we have the announcement for Cap 4, I think that's going to be season 2. I don't know that we're going to get season 2, but
Honestly, I'd rather have the movie than another season of the show myself.
I would too. I would too. But you were going to say something?
I just hope that if they do a season two, or if it's Captain America 4 that we see them together next time, I hope that they dive more into Bucky's world rather
I
than
would.
Sam's.
I would not be opposed to more exploration on Bucky. I think that I mean I've always been into that character ever since Cap 2. The more we can get for Bucky, the better. I mean, you never know. Maybe we see him pop up in Black Panther 2 next year.
Yeah, well, that'd be sweet.
Pretty awesome. Speaking of redemption,
Yes,
John
John
Walker,
Walker.
Morgan
What?
Da.
Yeah, good for
I
him, man. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I did not see a redemption arc, in his character. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I had it wrong, man. I thought that it was going to be the opposite. I thought that Carly was going to get redeemed through death, and that John was going to end up being sort of the villain that they'd have to stop. That was just kind of how they were writing it. It seemed, he
Hmm.
snaps, he become a little unhinged. There was some ambiguity on what Val was. Was she good or bad? But yeah, I can't say that I'm upset about it.
Especially if they are setting the stage for the Dark Avengers. I think they're doing a really good job, because I think that I think it's very easy to paint Val as a villain just because of the way that she looks, the way that she talks, all these things.
Attitude.
She's backing somebody that we believed to be a villain. But after this episode, it is a lot more ambiguous, and I dig it.
I agree. I agree completely. I think I'm with you on the potential Dark Avengers, maybe Thunderbolts. I've seen people throw that around too.
Same.
Uh, for me, it might have just been my speculation on Power Broker. Who is it? Is it Val? So I thought maybe she was tied to that. I don't think that that's the case at all. I think that she is her own thing. Maybe even with Thunderbolt Ross, some people speculate,
Hmm.
or if she's just her own thing and her own entity. Maybe she's tied with Sword. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe
All good
that's
options.
this just came into my head now. What if that's how we get Vision back? Maybe she's tied. Maybe he's gonna join this team that they're putting together. White Vision's roaming
White
about.
Vision on the Dark Avengers. That'd be sick.
He's kind of just roaming about, right? And we
Yeah.
there was no conclusion with him and what was going to happen. Seems like
Yeah.
he's not going to be vision, right? He's just going to be sort of this being.
Right. And if he lacks empathy, he might be a perfect fit for the Dark Avengers too.
I'm just saying. I don't know. We'll see. But
You got them gears turning, and I like it.
just popped into my head right now. I don't
I
know.
like it a lot.
John, I was really happy with his redemption, and it made sense. U.S. agent in the comics isn't a villain; he's a hero. You know,
Hmm.
he's a good guy. He's a bit misguided at times, but he's not a villain. So I'm glad that we're going to get more John Walker, because I really did grow to like that character and Wyatt Russell's portrayal of him. So
Oh, same. He
yeah,
does a great job.
yes,
Yeah.
he'll have to get a new shield. That great value
Yeah.
tin can didn't last long, but
Yeah. It takes one, I mean, albeit a super soldier punch, but it takes one punch and it's already got a dent in
that
it.
thing was done, man. That thing was
Yeah.
wiped. But
Yeah.
I just thought it was a good touch. You know, he's got this moment to go and get Carly. Probably could have ended her. Tries to save the truck, and then you see it right there at the end. The battle lines are drawn. Flag Smashers, Cap, Bucky, and John Walker. He's with them. He's a good guy again, and I liked it. I dug it.
Yeah, and honestly, good on Bucky for letting John try to redeem himself too, because I mean, that Bucky hates the guy.
Right. Yeah, I
You
agree.
know.
Well, I don't know if I think that his whole thing with John was he didn't earn the right to be Cap, right? I
Hmm.
think that was the big thing. He didn't deserve the shield. He didn't, Bucky doesn't know this guy, right? Whereas Steve is more than just Captain America. That's his brother, his best friend.
Yeah.
He trusted Sam, and then Sam gave it up. That's really, I think, what made Bucky, so irked, so mad. So, but I do agree. I do like that he is giving John a chance, and I would not be surprised if we're talking about a potential Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts type team, if maybe Bucky joins them and we see some more interaction and growth between those two characters.
That'd be huge. I'd love that too.
Yeah, yeah. So I dug it. I dug that whole John Walker redemption arc, and man, it just made for some good TV, I thought.
So you talked about early on about Sam kind of learning to accept a leadership role. Now that we see him as Captain America, do you see him leading the Avengers moving forward?
I could see him being a leader of the Avengers. I
Hmm.
think, yeah, Cap, Steve Rogers was the de facto leader of the Avengers, but Tony too was also a big
For
part of
sure.
that, right? So, and
For
I
sure.
don't think Thor took orders from anybody,
No.
but yeah, so Cap was the de facto leader. I could see Sam taking on that role, because there's no one else that really comes to mind. Maybe Captain Marvel. I think people want Spider-Man to be that. I don't think he is that. I think Sam makes sense. Why not?
Yeah. I think that Spider-Man could lead a younger group. I think if they are branching out and doing Dark Avengers, Young Avengers, Next Avengers, Thunderbolts, whatever they're doing, I think that they should. I really think that they should lump Spider-Man in with the younger Avengers,
I agree.
just because I think his personality will click better with younger heroes. And I think that he has. I mean, he's saved the world.
Oh yeah.
He is, I think, the obvious choice for a leader for a younger group of superheroes, including your boy, Patriot.
We'll get to him in a second. Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. If they are branching out and having all these different teams, if you're gonna have like a main new Avengers team, I think Sam or Captain Marvel, maybe Doctor Strange makes sense as the leader. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't see Spider-Man being there yet. He's still a kid. So having
Yeah.
him be sort of like, hey, Black Widow, or not Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, you do this and you do that, and I don't see him taking on that role. But
Okay.
we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot that they could do with that.
It's
Um,
interesting you mention Doctor Strange, because we've not actually seen him be a member of a team really. He was involved in the fight on Titan. In the battle of the battle on Titan at the end of Infinity War, but he really, I mean, he was barely a part of that team, you know, and his ego is large. And
Yeah, I think
we knew,
traditionally too, he's always sort of been his own thing, right? I mean, I think he's sort of been a member of the Avengers, but not like he's not like a core Avengers member. I know that he was a part of the Illuminati group that they have in the comics, which is I guess like pretty niche.
okay.
Essentially, it's like Tony Stark, Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, like all of the leaders, Black Bolt, all of the leaders of the individual groups come together to be this sort of like entity in the background. And Doctor
Hmm.
Strange, I believe, is a part of that. But yeah, I don't think he's. I just kind of he's like one of those guys that came to mind. That's really the only reason I mentioned him. But I agree. I don't see him as an Avenger, so to speak.
Yeah. He's kind of the, team up to save the world out of professional courtesy. He's that guy.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Coming back to Falcon Winter Soldier, we get our
Yes.
we sort of, last week I think we both speculated that we were going to have some sort of big blowout. We kind of got that in a way. We get our reveal of the power broker,
Yeah.
and we also get the end of Carly. So let's
Right.
talk about the power broker.
Okay. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was a little bit disappointed about the reveal.
I was too.
I think that we probably built it up a little bit too much. I do appreciate that it was somebody that we knew and not a new character.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm kind of happy with the new character being Val. I think that she's interesting and shady and mysterious, and I dig it. Um, I don't know. I think that I think you called it early that it could have been Sharon, right?
I
Around
think it was. I
episode
think
one
it
or
was
two.
episode 3, to be honest. When that
Okay.
was like the first episode, I think, where we were introduced to the not introduced to the power broker, but that was like where it started to become like a who is it type of thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that was also the first episode she was in. And so
Yeah.
what really tipped me was that scene in the shipping yard where she's walking away and she's on the phone and it's like we have a problem. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay.
And she steps into a car with a driver. Like that's big time villain vibes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so but then it was also like, I don't know if it really makes sense for her to be the power broker. Obviously, we're being introduced to a new type of Sharon Carter. Maybe she's working with this power broker. And, they kept using he and him pronouns for the power broker. But I thought that might have been like a smoke and mirrors type thing, like a misdirection.
So I was trying to pay attention to that more and more, and I need to rewatch the series and find out. But I think the either the first person or the only person that refers to the power broker as he him was Sharon, and I think that's her throwing scent off her trail.
I thought Zemo did too. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think that I mean I could be misremembering, but I think that he only started calling the power broker he him
After Sharon.
after Sharon did.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I won't disagree. I don't know for sure. That could be the case.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something I'll be paying more attention to on my second viewing of the whole show.
Same. I'm with you. I was a little let down.
Hmm.
You talked about it. We sort of had lofty hopes for who it would be.
Hmm.
I think that my issue is reading a little bit too much into other people's theories. I'd seen people talk about maybe it's Kingpin. Um, I,
Yeah.
I texted you earlier in the week after the Shang-Chi trailer came out. Maybe it's the Mandarin because we see in that trailer we see Madripoor, at least what appears to be Madripoor. So I thought, well, that
Hmm.
would make sense, right? This Mandarin character is supposed to be this big deal. Maybe he's the power broker. I am glad that it's not Mandarin or Kingpin, right? Because then you're just kind of changing who those characters are. And I'm with you, and I'm glad it wasn't just like some guy where you're like, oh, I don't know who this is.
Yeah, just a new guy. Yeah.
Why am I disappointed that it's Sharon? I really don't know. I guess just because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an expectations deal.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with Sharon being, I like shady Sharon Carter. I do.
I do. I
You
do
know,
too.
not to jump the gun, but the post credits scene where she gets her pardon and then immediately gets on the phone to, you know, talk about, hey, we're gonna now have access to government secrets and
Yep.
weapons and get some buyers lined up. You know, I'm on board. I like her arc, you know, as a hero turned villain. It's interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But I did want more. I wanted something more out of the reveal. I don't really know what, I guess, but I guess it was an expectations thing.
I agree. I think that's exactly what it was. I think that if I hadn't allowed myself to be like, oh, if Vincent D'Onofrio pops up and Kingpin's in the thing, now we're here. You know, that's my fault. And what I've learned, I think, is to not do that, because I did that in WandaVision, where I thought that Mephisto was going to be the big bad villain,
Okay.
and that wasn't the case. And I also, you know, I thought maybe we might get a Doctor Strange scene. We didn't. You know, I thought maybe we Quicksilver with the whole Ralph Boner thing. That was, I got to stop setting. Although that, to be fair, not to stray too far off topic, that was
That's
annoying.
okay.
But 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 for Sharon, I'm not upset that she is set up as this villain movie, because I feel like we keep talking about it. Captain America 4 is coming. This very obviously sets that up, right? That to where
Hmm.
she's going to ultimately be the villain. Um, and I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm with you. I like her arc and her shift in character and the new attitude she's showing. She's also not just this you know, figure. We've seen her fight. She can throw
Oh,
down.
she kicks ass.
She
Yeah.
kicks major ass, right? So it's she's believable also as a villain. And so
Hmm.
I'm cool with that. I agree. It was just like an expectations thing that kind of was like, oh, all right. Because as soon as she and Carly are face to face, I was like, this is it. She's the power broker. And
Hmm.
that's kind of,
Yeah. They made it pretty obvious, but I mean, in a good way. In a good way.
yeah, it was fine. I like she shoots Batroc, so she, again, shows you she's about that life. She's
Hmm.
not afraid to do what she needs to do. Um, and then just kind of, you know, obviously we wrap the story up. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah, so we get the death of Batroc, which was kind of overshadowed by, you know, the death of Carly. I actually forgot that Batroc died, and then it happened on, you know, I was watching it just, you know, about an hour ago on my second viewing, and I was like, oh yeah, he did die.
Well, so much happened afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the Carly Sam interaction there that led to her death?
Are you referring to Sam's reluctance to fight her?
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, it screamed hero. I mean, he agrees with her fight. You know, he agrees with her motives, and you know, he has tried this entire season to get her to change the way that she's going about her fight,
Hmm.
and he can't get through to her, unfortunately. She's too far gone, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, in her last moments, she is desperate to have Sam fight her back, and he will not do it. And because of that, you know, we get you know, she gets frustrated. She points the gun at Sam and is about to pull the trigger, and Sharon kills her
Yeah.
from off screen. And they have a very very touching moment, a little tearjerker moment where Sam is you know, cradling her as she's dying, and she says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, he got through to her. She was frustrated. She was angry. She was misguided. What are you gonna do? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it for Sharon, it was Carly or Sam. So she pulled the trigger.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Um, as far as the fight, whatever you want to call it, goes, I really liked it. I agree with what you said. Solidifies him as a hero. I mean, I need to solidify him as one, but it was
Right.
a full on. It's like I said, a nod to Steve almost. Steve would have done the same thing. You know,
Hmm.
wants to get through to the person, sees the good in her, knows that he can try to redeem her, does everything he can, puts the shield behind him.
Hmm.
Everything is evading her, right? He's doing the flips, kind of a nod back to the montage last week. he's doing everything he can to do the right thing, because he understands her struggle. He understands what she's trying to do, and we see him try to sort of echo that when he talks to the senators in a bit, or whatever they are, the GRC. But yeah, I liked it a lot, as far as this is our sort of final battle of the show, but it wasn't so much a fight. It was still trying to solve everything diplomatically, as Captain America probably would.
Right.
So again, solidifies him as Captain America, and just good stuff.
And they do two really, really good nods to Steve Rogers during this fight, and I loved them both. One was a line of dialogue, Carly tells Sam to stay down, and then you have very, very I could do this all day vibes where he just says no. That's so great. And the other one is when she's kind of I'll be blunt, she's kicking his ass, and he just plants those vibranium wings in the ground and just stands firm. Very, very Steve Rogers.
I thought we were gonna get "I can do this all day," and I was like, oh, he should have said it, but I'm glad he didn't. That's Steve's line. But it would have been a really good spot to do that, and at least like a nice nod to him.
You know what I would have preferred? It probably would have made me tear up, actually, is if Bucky said to Sam, "I'm with you till the end of the line." That would have got me so good. Missed opportunity.
Oh man, well, you never know, man. We Cap 4 is coming, so maybe we
coming.
get it then. Maybe we get it then. I'm glad you mentioned the vibranium wings.
Yeah,
we didn't talk too much about that stuff. I love the way he's using the wings in the suit and everything.
Yeah, in tandem with the shield.
Yeah, to sort of rewind to the truck falling, where he pops up and he's using the jetpack, and he's got the little, I guess,
the little tiny Red Wing guys that like attach to the truck and jet it up, I guess.
We'll call them Blue Wing and White Wing, right? We'll just say shades of Iron Man in Homecoming.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw somebody compare the new suit, sort of. It's like some parts Cap for obvious reasons, some parts Iron Man because of the wings and all the technology that he has, and some part Black Panther because of the vibranium. He's sort of like this combination of all these heroes.
This hodgepodge of the greatest hits of the Avengers.
Yeah, just get him a hammer and we were just like right on it. But I given that Sam isn't going to take a serum, not that there is one for him to take,
right.
I like the creativity that they have, acknowledging, hey, this is just a regular guy that is badass, but has at least tech on his side. We saw the wings sort of create a dome while he held the shield above him to protect himself from the helicopter.
That was really cool.
Sticking the wings into the ground. I really like the creativity that they showed to say, hey, he's just a guy, but he's got some weapons on his side.
Yeah, the shield dome with his wings around it, that was very, very cool.
Yeah.
And also the part where he throws the shield through the he throws the shield at the window of the helicopter, catches it, and just flies right through there and takes the pilot out.
Wonderful.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Brilliantly shot too.
I agree. Yeah, that's one thing this show did really well, was really, really great cinematography, amazing shots, choreography was great. I was always going to be on board with Sam as Cap, but I am for sure, no questions asked, on board with Sam as Cap after what we've seen. Just like the combination of the wings and all of that, plus the shield and his acrobatics. I love Sam as Cap.
He nailed it.
Yeah, he did. So Carly's dead. Doesn't really get redeemed, but he has this speech with the GRC, sort of bringing about her concerns and saying, hey, listen, she went about this the wrong way, but I agree with her fight, and you guys are doing the wrong thing. Strong character moment from Sam. What'd you think of that?
Well, it was a nice contrast, right? Because the last thing that we see, quote unquote, Captain America doing was John Walker, Captain America, executing a man in public with the shield. Okay. So the very next time we see, quote unquote, Captain America, it's Sam, different suit. It's got the white symbolizing purity, and he's in the streets on camera in front of a ton of people, and he has those lines, saying, I'm a black man in stars and stripes. I know that there are millions of people judging me right now. And he's still, lecturing these senators on, what you need to do. This is the right thing to do. And you need to not be a coward and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Very impactful.
Yeah. Again, just fully leaning into the Captain America mantle. And we didn't mention it, but that moment at the very beginning where they're like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Captain America. He is fully embracing that role.
And I think it was his first line of the episode, or the first line as, on screen. In the new suit.
Yeah. First on screen, I think he talked to Bucky saying, right. I brought him back up, but that was like part of the whole, what we mentioned earlier, the character was flying in, shot, up Captain America. And it was just like, yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. And yeah, the whole speech with the senators, and you've got Isaiah Bradley watching, and you've got Joaquin watching, and his sister watching, Sarah. Just, yeah, that one like final nod of, here he is, folks. Here's Captain America as we're going to know him moving forward. They just did a great job at setting up our next Captain America. It's the best way that any comic book movie has ever recast a hero, I think.
Yes.
Much better than going from Keaton to Kilmer to Clooney to Bale.
Well, and that's I think that's
but
it's different. And I'm trying to think back. Have they ever done that in this way? Have they ever had a hero take up a new mantle in like on screen? I'm trying to think. I don't know if they have.
You might be able to count Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, I guess Robin, we'll call him, from Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, a little bit, yeah.
He put on the suit, but it was obviously implied that he was going to be Batman.
Well, that's right. How Chris Nolan likes to do it, right? He likes to imply a lot and then let you decide.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. This is a recasting in a way that it's more of a continuation versus we couldn't get Keaton again, so we got to go with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, it feels way more natural than just getting a new actor to play the same person. He's a different character playing, the same role, the same mantle. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Right. Well, it's just a good way for Marvel to do that, though. I mean, they've been doing these movies now since 2008 with the first Iron Man. And, obviously you can't keep everyone, but it's a great way to keep the continuity going without saying, well, we got to find another Steve Rogers, right? Instead of doing that, Steve's retired. He had a complete story. We don't have to stop making Captain America movies.
Yeah.
We just set it up with a new guy, just like it's exactly like the comics. In that you've had many different Batman, you've had many different Iron Man, you've had many different Caps and Spider-Man and whatnot. Here's our second Captain America. We don't have to skip a beat with it.
Yeah, I guess the only other time that I can think of that we've seen a hero try to take up a different mantle is in Spider-Man Homecoming, or as far as the MCU goes, is Spider-Man Homecoming, when the whole world was asking Spider-Man if he was going to be the next Iron Man. He was wearing the Iron Spider suit, and he was greeting the people, and it almost seemed like he was trying to become the next Iron Man. And then the not moral, but what you kind of take away from that movie is there's never going to be another Iron Man. He's Spider-Man.
Right.
That's yeah.
Be Peter Parker, or not be Peter Parker. Be Spider-Man. Be his symbol. Whereas like with Falcon, he's taking up Captain America, but he's still the Falcon, right? He still has the wings, and he's still that, and he's still fighting the way he would. He is Captain America, but it's an evolution of Captain America. He's not just be Steve Rogers again, which is what Walker was trying to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And not to take anything away from Falcon, but Captain America was such a symbol, and they talked about him being a symbol a lot in this season. And the Falcon is respected. He's a hero, but he's not a symbol. Right. And now he is. He's Captain America.
Exactly. So great moment, and then we just kind of get things wrapped up a bit. So there's the part they get the other Flag Smashers, and they're taking them away. And then as
the loose ends,
as the guard shuts the door, he says, "One world, one people." Right? Is that what it? Yeah, one world, one people. So is that implying
Right.
to you that that sort of ideology isn't dead? Or is he
So,
just mocking it?
Carl, I'm going to bring up a different scene to help you out here. There's one of Carly's last scenes with her fellow flag smashers. She says, she has the line, I wrote it down here. The movement is strong enough to continue without us. So even if they die, the flag smashers will remain. And that may be something moving forward, but I feel like probably not. I feel like the majority, like all of the flag smashers had were the super soldiers, and now they're just
People.
a radical group of people screaming at each other on Facebook or whatever. It's like it's not really a movement.
Right, right. I agree, right? Because what does it mean if they're not super soldiers? They're just a bunch of people. I'm sure we'll see. What I think will happen, we'll probably see a nod to them in Cap 4, where it's like, oh, you guys are still doing this, right? But I don't think it's setting anything up. It was just like a weird thing that I kind of was like, huh, I wonder what that
I
is.
just I don't see I don't see one world, one people being as impactful as, say, Hail Hydra or something like that. I think the Flag Smashers are going to be a very small piece of the MCU, and we may get a little bit more resolution on them in the future, but I think they're done.
And I kind of hope so. I think that whatever with them, they were kind of an underwhelming villain, if I'm to be completely honest.
But they had great function in this series,
They did. They weren't useless. They weren't useless
right?
at all. They weren't as exciting as some of the villains we've had. Just to be completely honest.
Yeah, and Marvel had a hell of a job, making you feel for radicalized terrorists.
They did phenomenal with that. I agree. So
Because that's a subject that they kind of have to tiptoe in, and I think they did a really good job of you know putting it on the screen, and they did a lot of they did the right moves. They did good.
I agree. Well, Zemo got the last laugh because those
Yes.
last 3 or 4, they're gone. His butler just pulled the trigger or pressed the button and they're gone. And you see the shot of him in the raft and he just
Yeah,
got
just
him,
reading his book.
boys.
It's pretty cool to see Zemo, still pulling the trigger from behind bars.
Yeah, I hope that that's not the last we'll see Zemo in the MCU. Don't think it will be. Think we will get some more Baron Zemo.
Well, we've still got at least one super soldier. They asked Sam if he could help with the super soldier that fell into the Hudson, the one that he kicked out of the plane, or the helicopter. He survived, and we didn't get any resolution on that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think that that's anything. I mean, I feel like he's just gonna catch the guy and that'll be that. But
Probably, yeah, probably. But I'm just trying to think of all the loose ends that we have.
sure. Yeah, I thought that was more just a way for them to say, all right, you're still Cap. Hey, can you help us out? Like that was maybe them embracing him as Cap, right?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know what that guy was, if he was a politician or a cop or something.
I'm pretty sure he was a senator.
Senator, yeah. So I think that was more or less of them just saying, okay, we're on board,
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we do technically still have one, unless maybe he pops up in the raft too. Who knows? But the next thing we see is our U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Yeah, it's the same but black.
But black, right? I liked it. Val makes another appearance. I was hoping she would, and she did. And I think that this sort of cleared up. Again, I don't think she's a villain. I don't think she's shady by any means. It maybe goes about things her own way, as does John Walker. And I think that it's the start of something cool. It almost echoes or shades of Nick Fury Iron Man at the end of Iron Man 1.
Well, and it's about time, right? Because we've been watching MCU movies since 2008, and we really haven't had a whole lot of morally ambiguous characters.
Right.
And I think that this is pretty exciting.
I agree, and I think from what I've seen, people speculate on. I'm not going to read into that anymore because all that does is set you up for disappointment. But there are a lot of ways they can go about it, and this is obviously just the beginning. John Walker's new suit, new name. He's given up the desire perhaps of becoming Cap, at least for now. Maybe that's something they explore later on. But he's at least embracing that he's this different thing. He's not with the government anymore. And Val is like, hey, keep that phone on. He needs a shield. I don't know how they're going to get him a shield. Maybe he calls up Bucky and he gets one from the
I don't know. Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt that Bucky would do him that solid. So you're a little more connected with the comics and that. Do you know what his shield looks like? What U.S. agent's shield looks like?
I think it's the same as the other one, except it's just black.
Black, where instead of blue, would it be?
Yeah.
Okay,
that'd
be cool.
Off the top of my head, I don't know if there's a star in the middle or not. Maybe there is, but same thing pretty much. It's just round vibranium piece that maybe it's not vibranium, maybe it's something else. I don't remember exactly, but he's here, and I'm glad, because one of the things that I love about the MCU, if we can think way back in the day when superhero movies were really kind of just starting to come into form. Obviously we had Superman, Batman, but then I'm talking like the early 2000s. There was so much, I remember at least, of oh, they'll never do so-and-so. We'll never see so-and-so. Or if they do, it won't be very good. Whereas with the MCU, we're able to see a lot of these minor-ish characters come to life. Whereas we would have never got a U.S. agent movie. But now we can explore that character in this way, and we can bring him to screen. And there's going to be other characters that we are going to get to see. And it's just, I don't know. I really dig that about the MCU.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like Disney Plus is trying to do what Netflix couldn't with the Defenders.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you may have your own opinion about the Defenders, but I thought it fell flat. I thought kind of all of their shows fell flat. I mean, I liked Daredevil and the first season of Jessica Jones was all right, but I thought a lot of those shows fell flat, including the Defenders series. And I think that this is kind of the MCU's way of redeeming that, and in their own way, with the Disney Plus shows.
Honestly, I've only seen a few episodes of Jessica Jones. I never watched Iron Fist, and I didn't watch Defenders because I hadn't seen all those. But I saw the first 2 seasons of Daredevil. I'm actually rewatching them right now because I hadn't seen season 3. And
season 3 is really good.
Yeah, I think you told me that. And I also saw Luke Cage season 1. Didn't pay a ton of attention to season 2.
It's okay.
But I agree, man. I thought those fell flat. Great idea in theory, right? To bring in a more mature take on the Marvel universe, bring it to Netflix and give us something else to sort of sink our teeth into. But I agree. I never saw Defenders because I heard Iron Fist was so bad, so I never really wanted to watch it.
It's really not great.
I was kind of underwhelmed by Luke Cage, and I'd like to check out Punisher. I've heard good things about it, and I loved Daredevil. I thought season 1 was brilliant. Season 2, from what I remember, was pretty good. I'm getting ready to restart that. Yeah, I agree. That's what Disney Plus is doing so well with these shows, is not as mature as the Netflix shows, but sort of saying, okay, that was a good idea. We're going to do it much better than you did. And,
yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Well, and part of it, I think part of why those shows fell flat is because you are expecting them to be a part of the MCU, and it just doesn't feel that way. There's just there's no real connection, and they say that there is one, and they kind of nod to, oh yeah, the Battle of New York, blah blah blah, but that all they do is talk about it. There's not really any intersecting characters. It's just very underwhelming and kind of its own side universe.
Right.
It would be cool to see some of those characters come into the fold and into the grander scheme of things in the MCU. And I think a good way for them to do it, honestly, would be to have Punisher be part of the Dark Avengers, and then have Daredevil be part of, the new Avengers or whatever.
I'm holding out hope, and this is a major thing, and I shouldn't even say I'm holding out hope because I don't want to be let down. But I think it would be great if he pops up in the next Spider-Man movie, because obviously there's the connection with those two in the comics, and Peter Parker is going to need a lawyer because now he
Yeah,
has this insinuation that he's
that's
Spider-Man.
true. That's
So
true.
I think it would make sense if he was in Spider-Man. Whether or not he is, I'm not going to be let down if he's not, because that's such a big ask.
Hmm.
But I would love to see Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio reprise those roles in the MCU, because I don't, at least with Vincent D'Onofrio, I think you could recast Daredevil. I don't think they should. Charlie Cox does a good job.
I agree.
Can't recast Vincent D'Onofrio.
He's so good.
He is. You just look at him, and he is Kingpin.
Hmm.
Like that's what it is.
He
He is
he
Kingpin.
has the size. He has the intimidation factor. The way that he talks, it's so good.
And just aesthetically, he looks like Kingpin. You know what I mean? Like it's like you said, yeah. He's
Yeah.
big. He's bald. He the way he carries himself. He plays that role phenomenally. And I don't like if they did bring a different Kingpin in the MCU, it just wouldn't work. And he
Yeah.
also is a Spider-Man villain. So you could my
Right.
big wish list thing. And I know we're way off topic.
That's all right.
We're about wrapped up on it, so whatever. But what I would love is if Kingpin puts the Sinister Six together in this next movie, and you have to have
Yeah, and they did a little bit of Sinister Six nodding, in that the Stinger scene at the end of Homecoming, right, with the Vulture in jail.
Matt Gorgon popping up, who's
Hmm.
Scorpion in the comics, and obviously now we have Mysterio. It's kind of ambiguous whether he's dead or not. I think he is, but I don't know if that's really confirmed. Who knows?
It's Marvel. They could figure a way. They could figure out a way. They could have somebody else take up the mantle as Mysterio, even.
They could. They could. I don't know if they would, but I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you never know what's real and what isn't with that character, and so
Right.
you could very easily get away with having him stay alive. And if we have Doc Ock and Electro coming, I mean, that's it right there. That's six guys. So
There you go.
we'll see. We'll see. But we're way off topic now. Let's bring it back to Falcon.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got very little left to talk about. The next thing in my notes is is Isaiah Bradley. How do you think that he feels about Sam publicly? Telling everybody, I am Captain America. Isaiah in the last episode, Isaiah says, something along the lines of no self-respecting black man would ever call himself Captain America. The world's not ready for a black Captain America. And here we are one episode later. Sam is not heeding this advice. He's going about things in his own way. How do you think Isaiah Bradley feels about it?
I think he appreciates and respects what Sam's doing. I mean, we saw when Sam was making that speech, you get the shot of Isaiah and Eli Bradley sitting there, and he looked like, wow, okay, he's doing it, and he looked like he was happy to see it. And then of course we get the interaction, and he's like, you're Martin, Mandela, Malcolm, but you're doing your thing, and I think he just respects what Sam's doing, and
he busts his balls because that's what he does. But yeah, I think that he definitely has a lot of respect for Sam, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I think it means a lot to him that Sam has sought him out a few times.
Yeah.
And to sort of say, hey, like I want to hear your story. I want to hear what's going on. And I think Isaiah respects that. And I think that he's fully on board with Sam as Cap. And I think that I think he, deep down, probably always wanted a black Captain America, and probably maybe at one point felt like he could have done that too.
Sure.
In the comics, he takes place the same time as Steve, but in the show, he was around during the Korean War. So by that point, Steve has been gone. So could have easily took that mantle if he was given the opportunity. Wasn't, unfortunately. So he's looking at this saying, you know what? It wasn't me, but I'm glad that it's this guy that's able to do it. And obviously was very touched with the gesture Sam makes and putting him in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, what a hell of a monument.
Man.
Yeah, I paused it so that I could read, what was on that, the words on that, the wall, and it was the truth. It was his story. It was everything that Isaiah told Sam in episode 5. It was his touching story about how the government did him wrong, and how he was, a hero in his own right, and never respected as one. So and now he's finally immortalized. But also he doesn't have to be. The way that they put it in, they referred to him in the past tense, so they're keeping him dead in the public's eye, which I think is what Isaiah Bradley would want as well.
Yeah, that was sort of what I got to. Sam said we should let them know. No, they'll do all these things, and so I think this was his way of sort of respecting that, but also giving him the respect and credit that he deserves for what he did for the country. So, just a great moment. I'm really glad they brought the Isaiah Bradley character into the MCU. It gave that a little bit of a nod, and I also really like that they made sure to include Eli in all those scenes. They gave him
quite a bit too.
Yeah, They gave him a few lines. He was with them in the Smithsonian, and it's you've said it on this show, and we've talked personally. MCU does a really good job of the breadcrumbs, and this is them setting him up to be Patriot at some point, and maybe we see a little bit of that in Cap 4, or maybe there's still a ways off from that, but I don't think it was an accident or just like because we hired him. I think they did that for a reason, and they're planting the seeds for him.
I agree. Good spot early on, and I hope that we get to see him as Patriot. I think it'd be super cool.
Yep, they're setting the Young Avengers up, and I couldn't be more excited for it. So
same.
Really, the last bit we get is some family fun at a cookout with Uncle Bucky and
Uncle Buck. Yeah.
No. We Bucky gets Bucky's closure.
Bucky's closure.
We can't gloss over that.
It was a very short and sweet scene.
Yeah, I thought we would get more than we did, but I'm glad that they kind of just were like, "Here you go." They had the point with the book, crossing all the names out. So he has done everything he needed to do. He's had his heroic moments. Full growth for Bucky, and I love it.
I think, definitely, for sure. I think that he probably lost a friend because of this. I don't think they're going to be friends anymore. But they both got their closure, and that's what they both ultimately needed. I think it was a very mature decision of Bucky to go through with doing that. His therapist was right all along. I think he's going to find his peace, wherever it may be. But yeah, it transitions really well into the next scene, which is him celebrating, and with Sam and his family, with Uncle Bucky, as he called him,
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck. I really like the scene of him holding up his vibranium arm with the kids kind of monkeying around on it, and on my second watch, I was noticing that he was also flirting with Sarah.
Yeah. More Bucky and Sarah, please. I'm glad that they didn't do, I'm sorry, here's what happened, and then it's cool, I'm glad.
Yeah, because that's not realistic. You don't just forgive your son's killer like
exactly
that.
Yeah. So, but it was still good, right? He was able to help this man out and find his own closure, and then you go and then they do include him in that scene, so you can see he's finally maybe at peace, which is what he wanted, right? He's at peace, and now he's just kind of hanging out in Louisiana with Sam and his family.
Yeah, they were a little bit ambiguous on how is it Nakajima? Is that his name?
Mr. Nakajima, yep.
Nakajima. They were a little bit ambiguous on how he reacted, because Bucky had those lines of opening up to him and saying the Winter Soldier killed it, all that, and then he kind of gets a little bit of a reaction shot, and the very next shot is him leaving calmly. Not getting kicked out, but just kind of, calmly shutting the door. And then the transitions to the scene where he's, checking up on him, looking at him through the glass of the coffee shop. And you get a very, very good sense of closure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was good. It was needed. And yeah, it's, again, just to sort of wrap that up, we've seen Bucky go through so much, supposedly dying in Cap 1, coming back in Cap 2, Civil War stuff, being blipped, coming back, and then all the trauma he had to deal with, had no furniture. to see if it's
He needs to buy a bed.
I hope that. I hope maybe you gotta get a bed from the Wakandans or something, man. Come on,
Yeah.
have them hook you up with the vibranium sheets or something. That might get me comfortable. But I'm glad that he had his arc and all this closure, and I think that when we see him moving forward and in future projects, it'll be a Bucky that we really haven't seen.
That actually reminded me. We didn't talk about his line when he was talking to Carly on the phone. He had a line where he said that he tried to be part of something bigger than himself and failed twice. I was kind of going back through Bucky's history, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly he's referring to. And I felt that he believes that he failed during World War II. And I believe that he believes that he failed during the fight in Wakanda at the end of Infinity War. Would you agree with those two times? Is that what he's talking about?
I would agree with that, yeah, because I mean he wasn't willingly the Winter Soldier, nor was that like anything that you should like be proud of doing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think failing World War One, that seems like the obvious one because that set him on the trajectory for what he is now, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Wakanda thing. I mean, that was obviously a failure, right? That was everybody needed to stop Thanos, didn't, and that set off what became the whole real story for this show. Essentially,
Yeah.
the Flag Smashers were upset about being displaced because of the blip, and so that I would say those are probably the two things he was talking about. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. Okay.
So, final thoughts. Oh well, that's Sharon. Sharon's pardoned.
Let's talk a little bit more about Sharon. Yeah.
She was pardoned, and she's not only is she pardoned, she's back in the government.
Right. They instantly offered her a spot on her old. They basically just gave her job back.
It's like yeah, you kind of went against us, but just come on back in. We have no idea what you've been up to for the last.
We're sorry.
I would love my job back. Thank you. And we get the little glance to the camera of these freaking losers. They have no idea. And
yeah, well, I think that she likes her life on the run in Madripoor. I think that she worked hard to build up a reputation, a criminal reputation, and she doesn't want to lose that. I think that she's still bitter with the government, and I don't think that she's going to forgive and forget as easily as they would like her to.
I agree, man. I really do. I think that she was forced into this life and found out that she liked it.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is really a spiteful thing because she knew what she was getting herself into, when she helped out Cap, Sam, and Bucky.
Yeah.
I think this is just her saying, you know what, I did things correct for so long and it got me nothing. And now I have this whole new lifestyle and I have had much success with it. And she's had the taste of power too. Power,
yeah.
Right? Not to be too on the nose with it, but she's tasted that life and that power, and I'm sure she likes it and doesn't want to give it up at all. I mean, you see her in Madripoor. She's rich, has money, has connections. Why would you give that up?
It's going to be really interesting seeing how Sam and Bucky deal with betrayal in what is to come with the power broker. Because I don't know if they've really dealt with that kind of betrayal before.
I'm really curious if there is an explanation for why, and maybe we could come up with one now, but why she not only helped them throughout the show, but she could have just like straight up killed Sam and no one would have known.
Yeah, that's true. And she, Sam guaranteed her pardon before she helped them, at the end of the season. Like she didn't have to help them in this fight at the end.
Right.
So I mean, her only motivation that I can see is that she wanted to solidify her reputation as a good guy.
That's got to be it, right? Because she killed Batroc because he threatened to tell the world who Power Broker was, and she values anonymity, right? And yeah,
and she killed Carly because Carly knows who she is too.
Right.
She's doing a really, really good job of covering her tracks.
Exactly. And yeah, the pardon was the big thing because I think that's the key is that final scene where she is back in the government and now has access to secrets and weapons and what have you. So that at least wraps up why she helped them out. Promised the pardon. She showed up on the final episode because he reached out to her for her help, and she figured, well, this is if this helps me get my pardon, of course I'll come and help them. So
Yeah.
okay, I get it. That makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah.
Who do you think was on the phone? Do you think
I
it
don't
was
know.
like
I have no idea.
or-
I tried to make guesses both time I was watching the show, and I really have no idea.
I don't either. I don't know if it's another person, a partner, and it's just an assistant.
I don't even know if it's important, you know.
It's probably not, right? It's probably
It could have been her driver from episode 3. I mean, it could be anybody that works for her, with her, you know.
yeah. We'll find out hopefully. Hopefully we'll either it'll matter or it won't, and if it does, we'll
Right.
and if not, whatever. But that was the episode. Final thoughts on the show.
On the season as a whole, it was very entertaining. I love being excited to watch a show week to week. I feel like I don't really get that a whole lot anymore. You know, the only shows that I've really done that in the last 5 or 6 years or so, you know, have been you know, Mandalorian, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision. It's this Disney Plus stuff, you know, that their content is great, and I'm glad that they're releasing it week to week so that you can hang on these cliffhangers for so long and speculate and talk about it. It's you know, it's a lot of fun.
I agree. I am very much a product of the sort of culture that Netflix has created, and just like, here you go, binge it.
Here's 13 episodes. Yeah, watch them in 2 nights, and then the internet's already going to be talking about it. You know, I kind of got used to it, but this is refreshing.
I agree, because I don't hate Netflix for doing that. I like that. I do. I do like getting it, because sometimes it's like, man, I just kind of want to bang this out in a couple days. But I will say, starting with Mando a few years ago and up to this now, I really do enjoy having something to look forward to every week. And it's sort of a nod to how TV used to be. And like you said, getting to speculate on it and have fun and having these conversations, not just with you, but with people online or what have you. It is refreshing. It is really enjoyable. And this show by itself was a lot of fun. It was what I was expecting to get from MCU shows on Disney Plus. WandaVision gave us that a little bit, sort of halfway through the show, but this show did a really good job of it. You know, we got growth for Bucky and Sam. We got new characters with Val and John Walker. We got a different take on Sharon Carter and a new trajectory for her. And, you know, new characters from Isaiah and Eli Bradley. There's a lot to like, and I think it really did a good job of setting the table for the MCU moving forward. And I'm really, really excited to see what happens next for these characters.
I agree. This show really sharpened Sam and Bucky as characters. It solidified Sam as Captain America. It added some side characters that I loved. I love Isaiah Bradley. I think he was my favorite new character that we got this series. I will say that I hung on the cliffhangers of WandaVision a little bit more than I did with this show. But this show really, they wowed you with way more action, way more impactful lines of dialogue, which just screamed MCU, you know. I think that the best addition to, I guess, I keep comparing it to WandaVision, but it's really the only thing that I can compare it to right now. You know, WandaVision did a good job of introducing Sword. And you know, but it didn't feel super connected to the MCU, whereas this show really did.
I agree, and I think, you know, for WandaVision, you know, there wasn't a lot of character development on that show. Obviously, coming out of it, we have the Scarlet Witch, not just Wanda. And I don't want to blame them for. I think it's more COVID's fault that there's not a connection to the MCU. Because what was supposed to happen was we were supposed to get WandaVision, and then like a week or two, maybe a month later, was supposed to be Doctor Strange. And she's supposed to be heavily involved in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So there is going to be connection, which is why I thought we might get a Doctor Strange pop-in on WandaVision. But this did a much better job, I think, of branching out to more properties in the MCU. If we do get a Dark Avengers Thunderbolts / style team, plus, yeah, we have seemingly a new leader for the Avengers potentially. Bucky is refreshed and, like you said, I think sharpened is a really great way to put it. I think this show. I will agree. WandaVision had better cliffhangers, especially with Quicksilver that week, and like
Yeah,
what is this?
Quicksilver, Agatha,
Yeah,
the sword reveal. Like there was a lot to like about WandaVision, but it
there
didn't
was.
land as an MCU show as well as Falcon and the Winter Soldier did.
I think because it was so experimental, right? It was such a for the first 3 episodes, it was just like a sitcom. It was just,
Right.
it was establishing that this is a thing that she created, but there were so many questions. That was the thing, is they kept you guessing everything every episode. Whereas this, there were good cliffhangers.
Hmm.
AO at the end of episode 3, I believe. Walker killing the Flag Smasher.
Hmm.
Uh, episode 5, opening the box and what's in there. There were cliffhangers, but I think that, yeah, WandaVisions were a bit more like, what is happening? Whereas this was just
Hmm.
like, okay, good episode, can't wait for next week. Um,
There was definitely more shock value to the cliffhangers of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? You get at the end of episode 1, you get the reveal of a new Captain America. That's kind of jaw dropping. At the end of episode, was it 4, where he executes the Flag Smasher in public? Like those are really good cliffhangers that leave you like speechless. Whereas WandaVision, they left you on cliffhangers that were like, "Ooh, let's talk about the possibility of this or that." There was
like,
more to talk about.
coming or
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that.
yeah, I agree. And you're right. Like that, we keep sort of pointing to WandaVision because that's really all we have to compare it to.
Right.
But if these other shows that we're going to be getting to see, from Loki, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Armor Wars, Secret Invasion, all these other shows that are coming out, if they're like Falcon, Winter Soldier, we're in good hands. And we've talked about
Absolutely.
it. I trust the MCU. They've earned that trust over years and years and years of world building and character development and great stories and action and just quality entertainment. I trust them, and if everything else is like this, we're in good hands.
Absolutely. I agree.
So that's it. That is the season of Falcon Winter Soldier. Thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us if you have over these last 6 weeks or so. It's been a lot of fun for me, at least, to have a show to watch and talk to a good friend with every week, something to look forward to. And this was a lot of fun. And so, next week we don't have a show to review. We'll still record. We'll see what we can come up with. We don't really
We
know
will
what.
definitely be back in some capacity. We've workshopped some ideas. I think that we're just going to have a nice hodgepodge of different things coming together. We will definitely have an episode for you though. But in the meantime, of course, you can follow us on Instagram, StreamCatchersPod, or on Twitter at stream_catchers. We'll be retweeting, posting some stuff on there, getting excited for Bad Batch and Loki. And yeah, I mean, our social media is popping. We're trying all we can with the social media stuff.
We're doing what we can, and we did get a follow on Instagram. I want to shout you out real quick. But like Jack
Awesome.
said, we are workshopping ideas. We will be back next week, and afterwards we'll pick right back up with our reviews on Bad Batch. We'll see what that gives us to talk about. But shout out to Noah Gregorick, who
Hello.
gave us a follow on Instagram.
Thanks,
Hopefully
Noah.
someday we will have too many followers to shout you out on the pod. But if you give us a follow, we will shout you out. We do appreciate the support. It means a lot. And any last thoughts, Jack?
DM your thoughts to us. We want to talk about what you are thinking about the shows, your feelings on these new characters, plots, everything. We want to reach out to you guys and talk about what you want to talk about. So
Word. Yeah, let us know what you thought. You got the handles. We appreciate you guys, and we'll be back next week. Take care and keep on keeping on.
all righty, catch you later.